Now, if there's one thing that Donald Trump is against, it is China taking our jobs. I know that, and I'm going to share a video with you guys where he's clear on the record. And he loves to keep his campaign promises, right? So this one should be a layup. It's really, really easy. And in the case of the company called ZTE, which is a mobile phone company in China, it's the fourth largest one in the world, actually. They did something that was against almost all of Donald Trump's stated principles. So, and I do have to give them credit. They did strike down what ZTE did. So let me explain that to you first. ZTE, one of the world's largest telecom equipment makers, suspended its main operations after the US Commerce Department banned American supplies to its business for 7 years. Now that's Trump's Commerce Department. So what did ZTE do? Okay, let's find out. The US government launched an investigation into ZTE after Reuters reported in 2012 the company had signed contracts to ship millions of dollars worth of hardware and software from some of the best-known US technology companies to Iran. Now that was a time when we had sanctions on Iran, and obviously Donald Trump is definitely in favor of sanctions against Iran. This is a company that is taking our jobs and bringing them to China. They're doing business with Iran. And again, that was reported in 2012, but to be fair to the Trump administration, they cracked down themselves on this. His Commerce Department did. And they fined ZTE $1.2 billion. And then they had a list of things that they had to do in order to comply. So let's find out what happened there. ZTE pled guilty last year to conspiring to violate US sanctions by illegally shipping US goods and technology to Iran and entered into an agreement with the US government. The ban is the result of ZTE's failure to comply with that agreement, the Commerce Department said. Okay, credit where credit is due. Story's over, right? Not exactly. And then this very curious tweet from Donald Trump just a couple of days ago. He said, President Xi of China and I are working together to give massive Chinese phone company ZTE a way to get back into business fast. Too many jobs in China lost. Commerce Department has been instructed to get it done. What? Wait a minute. First of all, that was a law enforcement matter. You're now reversing your own Commerce Department and the law enforcement that they were doing to protect us from what was happening there. And I've got more details about what ZTE was up to and how bad it was. Secondly, you're worried about too many jobs lost in China? You think this guy keeps campaign promises? Are you kidding me? Look at what Donald Trump was saying during the campaign.
We are living through the greatest jobs theft in the history of the world. Nobody has ever stolen jobs like other countries have taken them from us. A Trump administration will stop the jobs from leaving America so easily. The theft of American prosperity will end, and it will end immediately.
They are stealing our jobs. The theft of China is stealing American jobs. America first. Let me see that tweet again. Too many jobs in China lost. What? We asked Don Blankenship what he thought about this, and he said,
has created millions of jobs for China people.
Okay, that might not have been directed to Trump. All right, so now let's tell you why ZT was in so much trouble. I mean, already you got the violations, you got the fines, and you got that they were selling technology to Iran, but there's more. The ban came 2 months after 2 Republican senators introduced legislation to block the US government from buying or leasing telecommunication equipment from ZTE, citing concern that the companies would use their access to spy on US officials. Not just sell it to Iran and to North Korea, by the way, but to spy in on us. But there's more. That's Reuters. Now we go to HuffPost. ZTE phones have already been described as a security risk by the US military and intelligence community. 2 weeks ago, the military banned their use on basis for fear that they could be used to track the locations of service members. So he's putting our troops in danger by reviving ZTE. Now, let's go to the Commerce Secretary who put the sanctions and the fines in place in the first place. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, who was one of Trump's top allies and still is, last month called ZTE's behavior egregious and said it cannot be ignored. So after Trump's tweet, we go back to Wilbur Ross. At a National Press Club speech on Monday, Wilbur Ross said that ZTE sanctions were an enforcement action unrelated to trade negotiations, but that he would be reviewing the situation, quote, very, very promptly as a result of Trump's request. So perhaps their violations can be ignored if Donald Trump tweets about it. Fascinating. So now, you might be thinking, why did Donald Trump do that? Is he just doing negotiations on trade? Well, his own Commerce Secretary just told you no, it has nothing to do with the trade negotiations. Even more curious. All right, one more tweet from Donald Trump. He said, China and the United States are working well together on trade, but past negotiations have been so one-sided in favor of China for so many years. That it is hard for them to make a deal that benefits both countries. But be cool, it will all work out. Now, wait a minute. If China has been getting the benefit of those trade deals, as you've been telling us all over and over and over again, and you said it during the campaign, they're stealing jobs from us, they're ripping us off. Why did you send a tweet saying how we should get them jobs, and even though they violated our laws and they did not even comply with the agreement that they said they would comply with, that somehow, and they gave technology to Iran and North Korea, that somehow we should help that Chinese company. Why on God's green earth would you do that? Well, let's find out why Donald Trump wants us to be cool. So a story out today in HuffPost. Trump did not mention in that tweet or its follow-ups that on Thursday, the developer of a theme park resort outside of Jakarta had signed a deal to receive as much as $500 million in Chinese government loans, as well as another $500 million from the Chinese banks, according to AFP. That is a French media organization. Trump's family businesses, the Trump Organization, has a deal to license the Trump name to that resort, which includes a golf course and hotels. Oh, this guy's corruption knows no bounds. So China, you want ZTE to be back in business. They got 70,000 jobs in China they want to bring back. A lot of Chinese government officials probably connected to that company. A lot of rich people in China connected to that company. And all of a sudden, China gives a loan to a theme park in Indonesia, a massive one, combined $1 billion. They then give money to Donald Trump saying, oh, Mr. Trump, we would like to put your name on this resort, and we'll pay you a lot of money to do that. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, Donald Trump cares about jobs in China. And he cares about Chinese companies, and he doesn't care about giving technology to Iran and North Korea. He doesn't care about violating sanctions, doesn't care about the rule of law, doesn't care about his own Commerce Department ruling against this company. And all of a sudden, he says, we've got to get jobs back in China. Don Blankenship also had something to say about this.
His China family has given him tens of millions of dollars.
All right, one more quote here. Trump, despite his campaign promises to turn over his businesses and have no involvement with them, has still not fully divested himself of his businesses and continues to profit from them. If you're wondering, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution makes it very clear. You are not allowed to take money from a foreign power under no circumstances. Clearly unconstitutional. And there it is, no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States. No person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, except of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. And Indonesia funneling money to Donald Trump and then getting $1 billion from China, and then China then getting a favor from Donald Trump is the definition of what is prohibited under the United States Constitution. On this alone, he should be immediately impeached. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.